Okay, so welcome to the latest edition of LINL Radio Interviews. Long Island Nightlight is pleased to have a big supporter tonight, someone who's been providing music and supporting the station from pretty close to the beginning. I got Mr. Bush, Thomas Bush from Frequency Overload with me tonight. So, go ahead, Tom, why don't you just say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. Hello, LINL. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Oh, thank you. As I always say, I wouldn't be doing anything without the contributions of, artists like yourself. So, so that's what makes it possible. So I appreciate all the music you've submitted and you inviting me to your event back in July. So, I mean, let's build things up for folks who may not be familiar with Frequency Overload. If you could just go over who the members are and what their role is in the band first, and then we'll talk about some of the recent paths of the band, the album, and the events and stuff like that. So,
Absolutely. So the band started with Corey Schaefer, the guitar player, and Kevin Daly, a drummer. The two of those guys met at a travel basketball game. Their sons were playing basketball against each other, and the two of those guys are standing there like Beavis and Butthead, the two guys with metal shirts on. So they kind of gravitated to each other. Hey, I play guitar, I play drums. Next thing you know, that was the beginning of Frequency Overload. I joined by going on Facebook for Long Island Musicians Wanted. And I said, hey, I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been in all of these bands over the years and this and that. This is what I'm into. And Kevin reached out and said, hey, why don't you listen to some of our stuff and come down? And I did. And I immediately, felt the congealing of a band. Like you can tell when it's right. It was right from the first night. So we went back onto that same Facebook Musicians Wanted and said, hey, look, we're looking for a bass player. We're going to make this an actual project here. And then Steve came down. Actually, it was funny because I got a Facebook message from a girl I went to high school with, Carrie, and she said, hey, Tom, what's going on? And of course, the first thing I'm like is, another one of us is dead. What happened? Why am I being contacted by this beautiful statuesque blonde? And she says, my husband is coming down there to try out for bass. I said, no way. So there was he came down and we immediately clicked. And that's when Frequency Overload was born about 2.5 years ago.
Cool. Awesome. I've been following you guys for a while. I did not know the origin story of the band. So that's pretty cool. So maybe we could talk a little bit about the recent past, the album that was released. Was it released over the summer? I believe it was over the summertime, right? Earlier in the summer, or?
Yeah.
And, so maybe you could talk a little bit about the album and then, the event in July, which, like I said, I was very happy to be invited and be a part of that. So.
Well, once we got a bunch of songs under us, we said, of course, we have to record. So we started recording them at Corey, our guitar player's house, which we call Fat Bottom Studios. And because he has a pretty good recording system over there. And then we decided, you know what, we want to step it up a notch. And we ended up doing some drum tracking at Voodoo Studios in Port Jefferson. From Corey and his time in other bands, he had a connection with Joey Z from Life of Agony. And Joey Z has a studio, and we did the drum tracking and then brought everything else and did the rest of the tracking at his home studio. And he puts a lot of time and effort into it. It was a great experience. We got the album finished, and of course, independently, we just put it out, and we hired Munzie Ricci from Skateboard Marketing to assist us with that, getting it to the radio stations and stuff.
What what made you because it seems like it's kind of in vogue or the way to go today to release a series of singles. What made you guys decide to put it together in a full album format?
Actually, we we did the songs that we did at Voodoo Studios. We tracked the drums there, and we did them with Joey Z at the Nest. And we said, okay, Munzie, here's our product. We got these, 3 songs. And he said, that's great. Where's the rest of the album?
Okay.
And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, a lot of the stations and many of the college stations are still in album format.
Gotcha.
It's not a single format type of deal. So we went and recorded the rest at Fat Bottom Studios and then sent the stems to Joey and went there and did the vocals, guitars, and bass, except for Killed in the Melody and Toxicity, which we did fully at Corey's house and just had Joey master them to match the rest of the album.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, it's a great answer, and that's kind of cool information there. That because maybe it's just the perception that bands and artists have that they should just release singles and everything like that. It's kind of cool to hear what's on the other end of that with all the radio stations.
Yeah, they want a product. They want an actual full length. A lot of them do. Not everybody.
Yeah, no, but yeah, like I said, it's a cool perspective to get that side of it. So what about Pappy Palooza 2? What can you tell us about the event that was late in July?
Yeah, well, Pappy Palooza 1 was at my house on the driveway, and it went over great. And so we decided to do it on a Pappy Palooza 2 at a different location that might be a little bit bigger, a little bit more, going on, get some vendors involved and whatnot. So we invited, some of the bands to come down and play, Demon Scar and Synthetic Fist, of course, Executioner, and our friends in Black Dawn, and the Opioids, the openers. We invited those guys to come down and do it, and they all were totally down. And so we had it at the Old Town Gardens in Setauket, which is a friend of mine who I went to high school with. He owns it, and he thought it would be a great idea. They empty out that whole side of the greenhouse to set up for their crazy Halloween thing that they do. So we decided to have it over there. And as you know, it was the hottest day of the year. It was hot in the greenhouse. We're thinking for the future, Pappy Palooza is going to be in spring or fall.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great event. I mean, all the bands killed it and everything like that. But I will agree, it was pretty warm that day.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. At the end of the day, when I was cleaning up equipment, my wife was sitting in the fountain in the back.
That's funny. Yeah. And like I said, I was there and I enjoyed emceeing the event and everything, and I appreciate being included. And I saw, the amount of work that went into it. And I mean, will there be a part 3? Are you sold on that or?
Oh, Pappy Palooza 3, absolutely.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like I said, I could see that there was a ton of work involved.
And it's growing. So the first year was on my driveway, and we cooked a buffet here, and I got a porta potty and stuff and put up tents. And now this was a little bit different. We invited some vendors, and of course our friends from North Fork Brewing, who make the Grandpappy Ale in the cans.
Yeah.
They came down, and so yeah, we wanna even maybe the next Pappy Palooza 3 a little bit bigger, and maybe have it be an event with a charity involved, or try to up the ante each year.
Sure. Well, I would be happy to be included once again, because the bands were really impressive. Everything was really cool. So,
thank you.
So before we get into, I wanted to talk about the recent past, and then you guys have something coming up in September, right? September to remember. So maybe we can talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. We took the month of August to vacation, basically. I went on a horrific and much storied camping trip out to Indian Island. We got flooded. There was giant hornets. It was crazy, but I did a week there. And then Kevin, our drummer, took his family upstate for a week. And of course, Steve is now in Europe. He's doing a cruise. So I think they flew into Amsterdam and then they're cruising to different places. And he's sending us pictures. He's putting frequency overload stickers up. This is Poland. This is Germany.
I saw one of those. I think it was Germany.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you this. I played a show with Good Vibes, the reggae band, at Nostalgia, and it was really crowded. It was, I don't know, it was just so. I mean, if you have 30 people in that place, it's crowded. So I was hanging out in the back, and I've looked at like the utility pole and the meter, and there's a frequency overload sticker on it.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you that before, or?
No, I didn't know that. Yeah. I think that might have been Steve. We played there too. That was the Caravan of Chaos. I rented a 10-passenger van and took a bunch of friends there when we played there.
Oh, cool. But yeah, no, I was laughing. I was just like, oh yeah, I know these guys. So, all right. So, that's the recent past and the development of frequency overload and what's coming up in the future. Maybe we could just mention the bands that are playing. Did we mention who's playing in September?
September, it's going to be a full LINL lineup. It's Out of the Shadows, Idiot Box, Frequency Overload, and Black Dawn.
Yep, and that's at Shakers, right, in Oakdale?
That's at Shakers Pub, yeah, and that's going to be my my debut night doing sound with my new PA system.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw that was maybe a newer. I know you have a lot of experience with sound gear, but that seems like a newer endeavor for you to start doing that. So
yeah,
cool.
Well, it was Pappy Palooza 2 that convinced me to throw my hat in the ring because we couldn't find anybody. We pieced together a system. Mike, as you know, came down and saved our behinds because he came with an amp that my amp blew that day. And so I was talking to him, and he uses one of those powered systems with an iPad.
Right.
So I'm now gathering that equipment and indulging myself in a little bit of training on it. And it's really quite impressive.
And I've been advertising the September to Remember online. I'm just trying to remember the date. Was it September 24th?
September 28th, Saturday, September 28th.
Okay. All right. So I don't want to put. I wish I could edit that out. It's September 28th, and as of now, I'm free, so I would definitely come down and check that out, and
awesome.
Support the bands that have supported the radio station. So. All right, so maybe you could tell me about, I know you had a lot of experience singing prior to Frequency Overload, so maybe you want to talk about, progressively how, some of those bands that you were in, prior to this one.
Well, I tell you, it started in junior high school. We had a band called Slugbait, and we played Love Bites from Judas Priest. We played some Twisted Sister, some Ramones, stuff like that. And then it kind of grew from there. I joined a hardcore band called Chronic Halitosis. And we played a lot of originals and some covers. Then I transitioned into a metal band called Mystema, which later grew into Social Disease. Now, Social Disease was around for a long time. We recorded twice at Legend Studios with Bob Vandermark, and then I had actually done an internship there because I was in broadcasting classes at Suffolk, and I used to work their live room. So I would go in, and whatever band came in, every half hour or half hour or whatever it was, a band came in to rehearse. It could be a mariachi band and then a metal band. It was crazy. Wow. Yeah, so I got some board experience there. And then Social Disease after that, we did a project called Iron Lung, which was signed to a small European, a Danish label called Progress Records, Die Hard Music Worldwide. We did Iron Lung, which was like a stoner rock project. After that, there was a little stint in a band called Evil Eye. We did Welt with our friend Doug Cerrito from Suffocation, one of the original founders of Suffocation, on guitar. It was members of Social Disease and Suffocation. That was also out on that Danish label. And after that, I did some recording here and there, and then I, got out of it for a while, raised a family, raised kids. And it was actually my daughter went up to Newport and started singing for a band called Crimson Crush, left her PA system that I bought her for her birthday here at my house, and I started looking at it and getting the itch. Next thing you know, I bought a bunch of equipment, and my wife says, because I'm sitting down here in the band room with all this equipment by myself, and she said, if you build it, they will come. And then here comes frequency overload.
Yeah. So yeah, I had the same philosophy with the radio station, just make it, and then, folks will send you music. So,
absolutely. And I can't tell you the amount of bands on LINL that blow my mind.
Yeah. I'm stunned with the quality, and very fortunate with the quality of the music that I've gotten. And the diversity of it, all different kinds of music, and yes, there are a lot of Long Island bands, but there are acts from all over the place, So, but you're right. If you build it, they will come. You got to start with that initial vision,
Yeah.
Now, I know you went back to junior high as far as when you started with bands, but how did you, what got you interested in doing music in the first place?
Believe it or not, I was kind of goaded into it because my friends were playing, the guys that were in Slugbait, they played guitar and drums and stuff, but nobody wanted to sing. So they're like, you got to sing. You're obnoxious. You can do it. So I ended up with a Gorilla amp and a Radio Shack microphone that you click on and off so it doesn't feed back.
That's cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, I like to hear how artists get started, even if some folks come from a musical family, some folks are the black sheep and, come from a family where nobody's doing things like that. So it's pretty cool to hear. Musically, what inspires you? What influences you? And it doesn't have to be bands from today. It could be from any era, but who influences you and who inspires you?
Well, I would have to say that I'm influenced and inspired by everything that I hear, every conversation. I mean, my early days when I found bands like Life of Agony, Carnivore, Whiplash, all of the thrash bands, of course, Metallica, Megadeth, that stuff is really in me. That was my time of coming of age. But, I mean, you can't listen to something like Out of Pocket and not be dancing around the garage.
Yeah, so that's great.
So, and it doesn't have to be frequency overload has, that sound, but you might find some kind of a reference to a vocal pattern or something. Something will come out when you listen to this much music like we do.
And I'm assuming that you write the lyrics for frequency overload.
Yes, I do write the lyrics.
What is that process like for you?
Well, with frequency overload, Corey, our guitar player, is a music machine. So he has folders on his computer, riffs in C, full songs in 440, this, that. I mean, there's so much. He does so much stuff. He's constantly writing, constantly doing hooks. Oh, this hook will go with that. And then Steve will jump in and Kevin. And so a lot of the times they'll just give me the song completed. And the way that they write, it has repeating choruses, it has the verse parts, it has a bridge, everything is structured.
Right,
And then
right.
some other times we've come up with stuff just fooling around in the guitar, and I'll just make syllables, or I'll read off of a poster or something in time just to get it down, and we'll record it, and then later on fashion lyrics that go with it.
Cool. I always like to get into the writing process, with the folks that I interview. I mean, I write myself and everything, so I'm just always interested, and I'm sure folks checking out the interview would be interested. And I'm kind of asking you to give away the special sauce a little bit, the secret ingredients, when I do that. But I think it's an interesting thing for folks to hear about how.
As a writer, there's certain times where it's almost as if you're a conduit for something else. Somebody else is writing it, and you're just with the pencil in your hand.
Sure.
There's a lot of songs that have come out like that. Full page, done, verses, choruses in 11 minutes. And I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah.
like a catharsis.
What I've said before, and maybe, you may disagree with this, may agree with it, but what I've said before is I'm not really creating songs, I'm discovering them. It's almost like they're there already, and I just have to find it,
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, where that voice comes from, whether it's another part of your mind or something exterior or whatever, but I guess it's something that writers have in common with each other.
Absolutely.
So we know that September to Remember is coming up on the 28th on at Shakers, but what else is next for the band? Are you guys planning another album, or are you where are you guys as far as what's coming in the future?
Yes, we are getting ready to start tracking the new music. Most likely going to be tracking it at Corey's house, our guitar player. He got all new drum mics, which was one little thing that we really had to step up. So he got all new drum mics. The sound is just a little bit better. It's
Cool.
just a little bit cleaner. And so we're going to start tracking that. We're also flirting with and talking to a label where they would be able to help us along with a lot of the promotions and a lot of the getting the music to other areas and in a better light. So that's going on as well.
Cool.
And we want to do some out-of-state gigs. So we're also working on that. We're talking to a couple of bands that have a following out in, let's say, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we can get onto a bill at one of those places like Love Drafts, or maybe do Dingbats again with a bunch of bands and do like a New York Invasion. But we do want to get out of town. That's why we limit where we play. Like, we're going to play Shakers. We did play it early in the year, but we're not, there every Thursday.
Yep.
We want to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there may not be a point to that because, you sort of, I don't know, you're sort of killing the golden goose, right? Like, if you're there less frequently, you probably draw a little bit better and it's fresher for folks and everything. So, all right. So to kind of just summarize, and correct me, I don't want to mispronounce it. I just want to make sure folks are clear. The most recent album is Fate Anthropic. Is that correct?
Fate Anthropic is the name of that album. Now, fate is obviously our destiny, our unchangeable destiny. It's your fate. Anthropic is of man. You know that.
Yep.
Misanthrope is someone who hates man. Now,
Sure.
we came up with the name because we didn't want the album to be what so many other people have done, which is take the first song and that's the name of the album. So if you look at Fate Anthropic, it is an anagram of the pain factor.
Oh, okay.
So,
gotcha.
So not only did it make sense, but it is also a little hidden treasure on the little Easter egg.
I never put that together. And for folks who don't know, the pain factor is one of the tracks on your album, correct?
It is the first track, yeah.
Yeah. The reason I keep glancing up is because I have the poster on my wall in my office here that you so generously sent me, and so I'm just looking at the cover on the poster, and I just also want to add, Tom was kind enough to and the band were kind enough to send a whole bunch of merch. I'm hoping that this will influence other bands to send me more merch too, because I love it. So I just want to put that out there too.
Yeah, we always feel like we should give to those who do for us. I mean, that's what this is all about. It's one
Yeah,
community.
and I try to make it as visible as possible whenever I can. We try to help each other out as much as we can. So yeah, so Fate Anthropic is available on. I'm assuming it's available on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah, all the streaming platforms, Bandcamp. It's also available directly on our website at frequencyoverload.com. You can download it there. It took a little bit to figure out, but I got it. So it's there, and you can buy it and download it.
Cool. Yeah, I want to make sure that we, do justice in promoting that. I remember when you had the listening party on Bandcamp, and that was really cool. Um, it was kind of cool to be listening to the album and then seeing the feedback from different and make it like a community kind of thing. So that was a cool thing to do.
Yeah, Bandcamp is great.
Yeah, I didn't even know that feature existed, so I learned from you guys.
Yeah, that was Zach from Metal Devastation PR. He recommended that, and then what he did for us was you can go on there and generate codes, and he takes those codes and sends them out to all of his contacts as free downloads, and you get reviews and all kinds of feedback.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, so folks out there should definitely stream, purchase, check out the album Fate Anthropic. I've been playing a good majority of it on LINL. I love it. Just earlier, I made a 20-song Spotify playlist of some of my personal favorite tunes from the radio station, and of course, Frequency Overload is represented on that. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. So, and if you are, and I'm just speaking to the audience now, if you are listening to the audio of this as we wrap it up, just stay tuned, because I'm going to be playing a whole bunch of Frequency Overload and Mr. Bush related music following the interview. And if you're viewing it on our website or on my YouTube channel, do your best to like and comment and spread it around and everything like that. That's helpful for the artist and helpful for the radio station. So Mr. Bush, I appreciate you very much jumping on here. If there's any shout outs you want to give or any, final things you want to say, the floor is yours. Take your time with that.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I was looking forward to this. It was a pleasure to meet you in person for the first time at Pappy Palooza too, but we've been communicating back and forth, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. I think so much talent is on the radio station in every genre that it's just hard to ignore. I don't want to listen to any other radio station. If you people aren't tuning into LINL all the time, you're out of your mind.
And speaking of which, as I was preparing for the interview, I got submissions from Kentucky and from Tampa, and they both sounded pretty cool. I only had time to listen to the songs quickly, but those will be hitting the radio station probably beginning of next week. But yeah, just keep it coming. It's definitely, like I said, I'm impressed with the quality of music that I get. It's that's what makes it pertinent and relevant to people, is that the music is good to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Everybody,
yeah, no, I'm sorry,
see you on September 28th. We'll be down at Shakey's. Come on down. It's going to be a good time.
September to remember. All right. So as I said, Mr. Bush, if you just hang out for a minute, and I'm just going to sign off. Thank you out there, LINL audience. Like I said, check out the webpage, nativesun.net, and just hit the tab for Long Island Nightlight Radio at the top. And if you're listening on the radio station right now, that means it's a weekend morning. Stay tuned for some frequency overload and Mr. Bush music coming up right now. Right now. Okay. Okay.